Aha, ayos ba?
Good morning, friends. Welcome sa press briefing ni Presidential Communications Secretary Martin Andanar. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Rocky. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat at lahat ng nanonood sa atin sa PTV at nakikinig sa Radyo ng Bayan at sa mga kababayan po natin sa iba't ibang bansa na nanonood sa pamagitan ng ating Facebook page sa Presidential Communications. Ladies and gentlemen of the Malacanang Press Corps, we are fortunate to have four distinguished resource persons for today's briefing, and they shall talk about the Duterte administration's infrastructure program. Our battle cry is build, build, build. And our speakers are as follows. NEDA Director General Ernesto Pernia, who is one of the President's economic managers. Secretary Pernia is Professor Emeritus of Economics at the University of the Philippines and lead economist at the Asian Development Bank. Dr. Pernia was a visiting resource fellow at the East-West Center Resource Systems Institute in Honolulu, USA, and was regional advisor on population and employment policy for Asia and Pacific with the International Labor Organizations. This outstanding Boholano is once an outstanding young scientist from the National Academy of Science and Technology. Still is. Still is. Balik Scientist Awardee of the Department of Science and Technology and currently ranked 7th among the 250 scientists in the Philippines, according to Google Scholar Citations public profiles. Secretary Pernia's areas of expertise on economic growth and poverty reduction, population, and development augur well to the thrust of the Duterte administration to make socioeconomic growth and development self-sustaining and inclusive for all Filipinos. We also have Secretary Arthur Tugade, whose rags to riches success story seems one lifted from storybooks. Secretary Art grew up in the slums and worked his way to being a lawyer, a businessman, and a billionaire. A scholar of San Beda College from elementary to law school, cum laude, and magna cum laude in liberal arts, Secretary Tugade believes in giving back and paying forward. In 2003, he founded Perry's Group of Companies Corporation that is into trucking, logistics, shipping, fuel distribution, travel, and fashion. The site where he initially built his group of companies used to be a dumping ground of a computer company, but used it as startup site for his early 11 companies. Prior to his entrepreneurial success, Secretary Tugade held several executive positions in various private companies. He started as an executive assistant of the Delgado family's Transnational Diversified Group Incorporated in 1973 and climbed up the ladder to become president and chief operating officer. In 2012, Secretary Tugade was appointed president and chief executive officer of the Clark Development Corporation. Under his leadership, CDC reported a record-breaking 1.49 billion pesos, or $32 million worth of revenues from 2013 to 2015. During his watch, CDC became the Company of the Year in Asia CEO Forum. We also have with us Secretary Mark Aguilar Villar of the Department of Public Works and Highways, DPWH. Prior to his appointment to President Duterte's cabinet, Secretary Villar served as representative of the Lone District of Las Piñas during the 15th and 16th Congress, where he authored more than 100 bills and close to 90 resolutions. He was the general manager of Crown Asia Corporation from 22 to 2010 before his foray into politics. Secretary Villar finished his MBA at the University of Chicago Booth School of Business and bachelor's degree in political science at the University of Pennsylvania. A musician, Secretary Villar plays the saxophone. Parang Bill Clinton lang ang peg.
Masyadong scandalous na yata yung introduction.
And lastly, the most famous of them all is the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Basis Conversion Development Authority, or BCDA, Vivencio Vince Dizon. Vivencio pala. BCDA President Dizon served the government in various capacities. He was Undersecretary for Political Affairs of the Office of the President, a Chief of Staff to Senator Edgardo Angara, consultant to Senator Alan Peter Cayetano. Mr. Dizon finished a Master of Science in Applied Development Studies in the University of Reading, United Kingdom, as a Chevening Scholar, and a Bachelor of Arts degree in Economics and Bachelor of Science degree in Management and Financial Institutions at the De La Salle University, where he later taught as an assistant professor of economics. Ladies and gentlemen of the Malacanang Press Corps, let us all give a warm of applause and welcome to our four distinguished guests.
Magandang umaga ho sa inyong lahat. Nagbibigay pugay kami sa Malacanang Press Corps. We thank you for the opportunity for us to be able to dialogue and communicate with you regarding certain projects in government. Napakaganda ho itong pagkakataon na ito pagkat ngayong panahon na ito, ngayong araw na ito, mapapakinggan ninyo yung mga samut-saring mga proyekto ng ating administrasyon na gustong gawin at gampanan. Magbibigay din ho tayo ng pagkakataon na may paliwanag sa inyo yung mga iba-ibang proyekto. Marahil nagtataka kayo na bakit apat ng kabinete nandito ngayon, na kung saan nung nakaraan, tama na yung isang cabinet member, paminsan-minsan dalawa, ngayon apat. Sinadya po namin na umupo at makiusap sa inyo ngayon na apat kami upang ipakita sa inyo yung tinatawag na coordination and solidarity ng mga kabinete sa mga bagay-bagay na meron silang koordinasyon at kinakailangan lang na magkaroon ng koordinasyon. Nakikita nyo na nagsasama ngayon, isang halimbawa, ang Department of Public Works at yung Department of Transportation na pinangingibawaan ng ating director ng NEDA. Noon ho, minsan, ang takbo ng isang departamento, pakaliwa. Paminsan-minsan, habang tumatakbo yung pakaliwa, pumupunta naman sa pakanan. Ngayon, sinasabi namin, magsama-sama tayong maglakad, hindi lang maglakad, tumakbo, hindi lang tumakbo, lumipad. Kaya ngayong araw na to, sama-sama kami na nandito. Nandito ho yung BCDA. Because ang BCDA ay isang government corporation na kung saan nag-uunday at kung saan nagtatanim ng mga butil ng mga proyekto at investment upang magampanan ang paglago ng ating pamahalaan. Makikita nyo sa aming presentasyon na yung pagsama-sama namin dito ay may kahulugan, may ibig sabihin na koordinasyon. So, kaya nga ho, ngayon, araw na to, kayo sa Malacanang Press Corps, binibigyan namin kayo ng hindi isang kabinete, hindi dalawang kabinete, 3 cabinet members at isang BCDA GCG. In other words, this is our expression of solidarity and coordination with the government of President Duterte. Nung nakaraang eleksyon ho, napangako ng ating Pangulo na susolusyonan niya at ititigil yung tinatawag na problema sa droga at korupsyon. Ngayon ho, ngayong araw na to ay tutumbukin natin at bibigyan pananaw at pansin ang isang bagay na napangako ng ating Pangulo noong eleksyon. Ang sabi niya, bigyan natin ng solusyon yung problema ng ating mga kababayan. Problema, kulang sa trabaho, problema, mataas na presyo, problema, transportasyon at trafiko. Ang sabi namin, kaming apat na ito, yung sabi rin ng ating Pangulo, solusyonan natin yan sa tinatawag na infrastruktura. Kaya nga ba't sinabi ni Secretary Andanar kanina, our battle cry is build, build, build. Build infrastructure. Bakit magpapatayo tayo ng mga infrastruktura? Dahil ho, ito ho ang isang solusyon upang matugunan ang pangako ng ating Pangulo na si Presidente Duterte na dapat solusyonan, hanapan ng solusyon yung tinatawag na kakulangan sa trabaho, yung matataas na presyo, yung pawis at kabuisitan ng transportasyon at trapiko. Build infrastructure because we have to build infrastructure because common sense will tell you that it is the infrastructure that will do the connectivity and mobility. Connectivity amongst LGUs, connectivity amongst places, and mobility from one place to another. Pagkat kung magkakaroon ka ng connectivity at mobility, hindi ho no-brainer yan. Yan ho ay no-brainer pagkat ang connectivity or mobility will spell and will serve as the ground fundamentals for you to develop and grow. Kaya nga ho, sinasabi namin, build infrastructure. Liliwanagin ko lang ho, yung makikita at mapapakinggan nyo ngayon ay hindi kabuuan ng lahat ng infrastruktura na gustong gawin ng ating Pangulong Presidente Duterte. Itong mga infrastruktura na makikita nyo at i-explain namin sa inyo, kumbaga ang tawag dyan, patikim lamang. Patikim lamang. At sinasabi namin itong mga infrastruktura na dapat gawin sa pamahalaan ng ating Pangulo ay dapat matapos within reasonable terms and within economic reasons during the 5-6 years term of the President. 5 years na lang kasi natapos na yung 4 na 5 buwan. Ito ho yung timetable niyan. Ipapakita ho ng ating kasamang si Vince mamaya yung timetable. So, ang usapan ho ngayon, solusyon. Ang usapan ho ngayon, infrastruktura. Ibig ba sabihin, lahat yan? Hindi ho. Ito ho, patikim lang ng mga proyekto upang makikita ninyo na hindi lang direksyon para sa droga at korupsyon, hindi lang direksyon sa trapiko at transportasyon, kung hindi pangkalahatan ekonomiya, na kung saan mababahagi at magiging pundasyon ng development ang growth ang mga infrastrukturang aming ipapakita at i-explain sa inyo.
Yeah. Excuse me. Mag-English na ako kasi hindi kayo marunong mag-Bisaya eh. Baluktot kasi ang Tagalog ko. So, okay. So, as Secretary Tugade has said, infrastructure is the basic ingredient, the underpinning of any development activity and any building of the economy. It has to start with infrastructure. And mobility is very important these days. Not only mobility through connectivity sa ICT, but also physical mobility. And that is what physical mobility is what we are going to facilitate or make easier under these infrastructure projects that we are going to show you. Okay. Actually, hindi lang namin pinapakita ang mga infrastruktura. Gusto rin namin ipalaman sa inyo na mabilis kami mag-aksyon. Okay? in a matter of 1 month and 2 days, we were able to convene the investment coordinating committee, August 2nd, and decide on 9 infrastructure projects at the time. These 9 infrastructure projects, which by now I think are known to you, have already passed the NEDA board, which is chaired by the president, and that is the final hurdle of projects before they get implemented by the concerned agencies like Department of Transportation or Department of Public Works and Highways, Department of Health, Department of Education, and so on. These are the implementing agencies. The NEDA board is the one that approves these projects, as I've said, chaired by the president. And these 9 projects have already gone through that channel or that eye of a needle, because if you recall, in the previous administration, only 12 projects, infrastructure projects were passed by the previous administration in a period of 6 years. Now, as I've said, in a matter of 2 months, we were able to, because the 9 projects after 40 days, we got it approved from ICC to NEDA board approval. We got it approved by the NEDA board, so they are now being implemented. To get the projects implemented, there has to be some procurement activity as well as bidding, and those projects are now in the stage of bidding before awarding and actual construction. And during the period of construction, of course, many jobs are created. And because we are going to do these infrastructure projects in a work regimen of 24/7, maraming employment, maraming jobs ma-generate. Kasi 3 shifts na yun eh. And moreover, instead of, for example, finishing a project in 3 years, it can be done in 1 year if we really do them 24/7. Okay. Then the other thing that that was September 14 was the approval of the 9 projects by the NEDA board. This afternoon or this evening, if the president, if time allows, we're going to have a NEDA board meeting again to get 7 more projects approved by the NEDA board so that they can be implemented thereafter. And these have to do with agricultural projects. 1 in Cordillera, 2 in Mindanao. The other projects are the South Line Rail Project, which goes from Manila to it goes from Manila to to Sorsogon, to the end of the Bicol region, and that will be around 600 kilometers, and the cost of that project is in the order of 200 billion, that railway project. So again, another project that tries to disperse the congestion that we have in Metro Manila, to disperse development, to improve mobility so that development can be dispersed to the regions. The other projects have to do with widening of the road from Tutuban to Valenzuela, which is about 9 kilometers. And I understand now it's really a cause of bottlenecks, because there's only 1 lane each way, and when jeepneys stop on the road, then traffic builds up very quickly, and so this widening project will make the two lane on each way. No, sorry, the 1 lane on each way to 2 lanes. So in other words, the road will become a 4-lane road. And another project we'll have to do will be another road improvement project somewhere from Valenzuela also to connect with Quezon City. Another project that that's going to decongest traffic in that area, so that going to the north, apart from using going to the NLEX can already be accessed through these improved roads, which we hope can be done in 9 years. I'm sorry, in 3 years. In 3 years. Okay. So those are the 7 projects those are among the 7 projects that we are going to submit to the NEDA board perhaps tonight, or and they Malacanang also said that if not tonight, then in the December cabinet meeting, cum NEDA board meeting. So all these infrastructure projects will require ramping up the spending on infrastructure from I think 4.5% last year to 2 to 3% last year. We'll ramp it up to 5%. 5.5 this year, 5.4 this year, and moving forward, we'll keep it at least at 5% of GDP, and it will likely go up even higher to 7% till the end of the Duterte administration. So that's going to be, as Secretary Jokno would say, this Duterte administration will be a golden age for infrastructure, building them 24/7. Okay, and the thing is, we really have to catch up with our neighbors. We have been lagging behind our ASEAN neighbors, even Asian neighbors as well, and so the infrastructure deficit is so huge that we really have to double time, triple time to even approach at parity with the infrastructure level of our neighbors in Asia. Okay, Mark. No.
Magandang tanghali po. At sinabi po ng ating Pangulo na gusto niya na magkaroon po tayo ng golden age of infrastructure. Kaya over the past administrations, ang range po ng spending natin sa infrastructure related to GDP has been 2 to 3%. During the first year of President Duterte, magiging 5.4%. Almost more than double the average spending under previous administrations. 5.4% of our GDP. Sa Asia po, ang ating mga developing countries katulad ng India at ng China ay gumagastos po ng 8 to 10% ng GDP nila sa infrastructure. So, at minimum, we want to maintain this 5%, but we are also targeting to reach as high as minimum 7% spending over the next few years. This is to catch up para makahabol din tayo sa ating mga neighbors dito sa Asia. So, makikita nyo po sa next slide, ito po yung aside from more railways, where will we spend this infrastructure? More railways, urban transport, airports, seaports, roads and bridges, and new and better cities. We're planning to create new hubs that will attract the congestion from Metro Manila and bring development to the rural, the countryside. At yun po ang objective ng ating presidente na umabot po sa ating rural communities ang development. And on our part, the president ordered us to work 24/7, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're united here to show you that this whole government is dedicated to just doing it, just working 24/7 to reach these goals in infrastructure. Over the past few administrations, I think there's been less of a focus, but under the Duterte administration, this will be one of the primary focuses of this government. Kagaya ng sinabi po nila, build, build, build. So I'd like to show you a taste of some of the projects that we will already start on the part of the DP. Mamaya po, ipipresent din po ni Secretary Tugade yung mga projects nila sa DOTR. In terms of the DPWH, I would like to show you some of the highlights of our infrastructure program. Ito po, Santa Monica Loton BGC Bridge. This is a project that will start next year, and this is a project that once completed will reduce the traffic, will redirect, reduce the traffic in EDSA and C5 by 35%. Makikita nyo, mababawasan po ang numbers, ang vehicular traffic by 100,000. Ito pong bridge ay from the Fort, ay magsisimula po sa Fort, and it will end in Ortigas. So, para sa mga taga Metro Manila, this is one of the major projects that is dedicated to traffic decongestion. And in our budget this year, 25% of our budget is allocated to a nationwide decongestion program. This is unprecedented in the history of our country, and I think that we'll be able, in the next year, we'll be able to feel the effects of this infrastructure spending. So ito po, isa po to sa mga proyekto sa Metro Manila na makakabawas sa ating problema sa traffic. And also, I want to show you also, this is another project that we will start next year. Ito po UP Miriam Ateneo Viaduct. And this project will by 80% would decrease the traffic in that area. Sa mga taga Quezon City, alam nyo naman po ang traffic doon, kakaroon po ng elevated viaduct. So those who are going to the schools can pass through the bottom, pero yung yung through and through traffic dadaan po sa viaduct. Our first phase will start on the widening, and then we'll finish the viaduct, which will so you can traverse the whole university without having to cause traffic. So ito po, susunod. Ang ating bridge program. This will be the most ambitious bridge program in the history of our nation. Our longest bridge so far is the San Juanico Bridge, which is the bridges that we will embark on, which we are already in the process of conducting pre-feasibility studies. Will connect Iloilo to Negros and to Cebu. So once this project is finished with a value of about $1 billion, you'll be able to take a road trip from Iloilo to Cebu. The length of these bridges approximately range from 2 to 10 kilometers. And we're targeting to finish this before the end of the Duterte administration. Another major component ng ating infrastructure program ay ang bypass. One of the major bypass projects is the Davao City Bypass Project sa mga taga Davao City. From Digos, Davao del Sur, papuntang Davao del Norte, from a 2-hour ride, magiging 45 minutes na lang. Aside from Davao City Bypass Project, we are also budgeting for 20 additional bypass projects across the nation in all major cities. And this is done in order to decongest all major cities, not just in Mindanao, but also in Luzon and Visayas. Again, this is one of the this is unprecedented in our infrastructure, and this is something that we will start next year. Isa po dito sa Metro Manila na we were just recently isang PPP po na sisimulan as early as next year also ay ang NLEX-SLEX Connector Road. Pag natapos na po itong Connector Road, kung galing po kayo sa Alabang, makakarating kayo sa Balintawak in 30 minutes. This is from, pag traffic siguro, 3 hours ang biyahe from Alabang to Balintawak. When this next SX Connector Road is finished, we can expect that mababawasan po ang traffic sa EDSA because the through and through traffic will just simply go through the NLEX SX Connector Road. Also, the trucks coming from the pier, kasi may magkakaroon po tayo ng rampa sa pier sa C3. They will be able to go up the ramp, and instead of passing through C5, they can go directly to NLEX or SLEX. So we feel that this project, which will be finished by 2020 or even before, will significantly decongest Metro Manila. And also, of course, a major component, it's not just the roads. Just as important is our mass transit system. And I'd like to turn the floor to...
Underscore one very important thing in our dialogue today. Yung mga proyektong sinabi ho ng ating kalihim sa Department of Public Works at yung mga proyektong aking sasabihin, nag-coordinate ho kami ng department with the Department of Public Works nung aming binabalangkas yung aming annual budget. Kaya nga ba, you will be assured na kung proyekto namin at proyekto nila, nagkaroon na ho kami ng tinatawag na coordination. Kaya yung mga konstruksyon, ina-address yung traffic. Yung airport na itatayo, tutulungan kami ng Public Works. Ganun ho ang ginawa namin itong mga nakaraang 2 buwan. Na ang aming pagbalangkas ng aming projects and budgets, kino-ordinate ho namin. As we pursue the projects, you will be assured that there will be a coordination between the mission of Public Works and the objectives of transportation. Having said that, nakita ho natin yung gagawing kalsada at tulay. Silipin ho natin yung mga gagawin natin sa tren. In the slides, you will see one of our priority is the Manila-Clark Railway. This will guarantee transportation time of 1 hour from Manila to Clark. This will cover approximately 85 kilometers. So, ito ho, maiibsan at matutulungan ang trapiko sa Metro Manila dahil dito sa tren na ito. Ngayon, kaakibat nitong Manila-Clark, tatalunin ko na ho yung slide kasi kopong yan, yung airport. Yung Clark Airport, ide-develop ho yun. Ito ho, katugmayan. It will be a support to the efficient operation of the airport at marami hong pagbabagong gagawin sa SIAC. From point of view of terminal up to airport operation, up to structures and equipment. Magkatugmayan. So, bibigyan din ang Manila-Clark Railway at uumpisahan ho namin hopefully sa papasok na taon ito. Kakambal ng Manila-Clark Railway, yung tinatawag na Clark-Subic. Yung Clark-Subic ho, ito ho, cargo. Why are we putting the Clark-Subic? This will cover mga 60 kilometers. Why are we putting it? Because we want to create the concept of a logistics hub. We want to put up a logistics hub concept in Northern Luzon. Ano ibig sabihin nun? The benefit of Subic as a seaport, with a seaport, will be the benefit also of Clark with the airport and vice versa kasi i-connect ng railroad dyan. So, ito ho, hopefully, will spell a great difference in putting a reality into the creation of a logistics hub in Northern Luzon to create also supply chain. Pag nagawa ho ito, then there will be a decongestion in Metro Manila. Kailan umpisahan ito? Tinitignan ho namin na umpisahan ito sa papasok na taon. Another railway which we would like to pursue in the term of President Duterte is yung nabanggit kanina ni Secretary Pernia. Ang sabi niya yung Bicol.
South Rail.
South Rail, aproban ho yan, itutuloy yan. Siguro matapos mamayang gabi yan, hopefully next year hanggang Sorsogon. Okay? Pagkatapos ng rail na to, meron ho yung tinatawag na Mindanao Express. Yung Mindanao Express ho, ang per space niyan will be around 200 kilometers. Ang total kwan niyan is mga 2,000? 2,000 kilometers. Gusto ho ng Administrasyon Duterte na maski na yung phase 1 na kung saan nakabalot ang 200 kilometers matapos sa term ng Pangulo. So, makikita nyo ang concentration sa rail pagkat nakita na ho sa experience ng pangkalahatan na if you have to have efficient, massive transit, the major answer is an efficient railroad system. Kakibat ho niyan, yung BRT. Meron tayong BRT na hopefully maumpisahan din next year. Ito ay gagawin namin in partnership with BCDA. Ito ho ay isang sistema na kung saan tutulungan at gagawing partner yung rail movement. Meron ka ng rail, meron ka pang BRT. Kung magiging successful yung BRT dito sa eksperimentong ito, packets of BRT systems may be put, as is being considered right now, in Cebu. You know, yung mga tipong ganyan. Pero mauumpisahan din ho ito sa papasok na taon. Punta ho tayo sa mga airport. Marahil iniisip ninyo na yung airport lang na linilinisan ngayon o inaayos ay pang Metro Manila. Tama ho yan, pero itutuloy-tuloy ho namin yung development palabas, Visayas and Mindanao. Yung mga regional airports, gagawin ho nating night rated dyan. Ibig sabihin, maski na ho gabi, pwedeng liparan para makarating sa NAIA. Makakatulong ho ito sa decongestion. Yung mga airport ng Davao, as we talk today, final details are being done in order to improve the air conditioning facilities, to improve the toilet and comfort facilities, and to widen the approaches. So, meron ho mga proyektong ganyan. In due time, we'll be disclosing to you all the regional airports. Kasama ho dyan yung Tacbilaran, yung Bohol, yung Zamboanga, kasama yung Dumaguete, kasama meron din airport sa norte. Pangkalahatan ho yan na gagawin. Ito ho yung regional airport development. Ang gagawin din ho natin kung merong riles, merong airport, meron din hong karagatan. Yung tinatawag na seaport. Basically, we are an archipelago. Being an archipelago, we have islands all over the place, and in order that we have integrated mobility and comfort to achieve easy facilities of transport and goods and passengers, kailangan ho i-connect yan. Kanina sinabi ni Secretary Villar na magkoconnect ng bridge. Kadagdagan ho dyan is kikreate ho tayo ng mga puerto na kung saan yung mga ro-ro vessels, roll-on, roll-off, mag-ooperate sa mga puerto. Nagawa na ho yung listahan na yan. Kung gusto nyo magkaroon ng listahan na yan, we will provide you with that list. And so all told, in terms of infrastructures, we are hitting not only the roads, the airports, the rails, but also the seaport. Hopefully, having given this trust, given this build butter cry, we can really put a stronghold in the development and growth of this country to satisfy and achieve the promise of President Duterte na sinabi niyang adresan nyo yung presyo, adresan nyo yung trabaho, adresan nyo yung transportasyon, adresan nyo yung trapiko.
Thank you very much, Secretary Tugade, Secretary Vigara, Secretary Pernia. Ngayon naman po, on the part of the Basis Conversion and Development Authority, ipipresenta namin ang ilan sa mga priority infrastructure projects na gagawin ng BCDA in coordination and in partnership with the other agencies of government. I think gusto ko lang i-emphasize ulit yung sinabi ni Secretary Art, ni Secretary Mark, tsaka ni Sec Ernie. Tingin namin sa kauna-anong pagkakataon, ang mga iba't ibang ahensya ng gobyerno na in charge sa pagpapagaganap ng infrastruktura sa bansa natin, nag-uusap-usap. Di ba sa Ingles meron tayong saying, di ba? Yung the right hand sometimes doesn't know what the left hand is doing, 'di ba? 'Yun ang unang-unang ayaw naming mangyari. Kasi alam namin na kapag nangyari 'yon, ang lalabas una mali-maling proyekto, mga proyektong hindi talaga nakakabenepisyo sa tao dahil hindi na plano ng tama at hindi na coordinate. Kaya siguro nagtataka kayo bakit ngayon lang presenta to. Sinabi nga ni Sec Art kanina kasi yung nakaraang ilang buwan, take note, no? Halos wala pang 4 na buwan ang Duterte administration. Pero ang ginawa ng mga key cabinet agencies at ibang ahensya ng gobyerno during the first few months of the administration is really to talk at mag-usap-usap, magplano at magsama-sama to come up with a master plan na talagang sigurado nating may implement para sa taong bayan. So for BCDA, ang unang-una naming at pinaka-importante na mention na rin ni Sec Art dahil under sa kanya din ito, no? Under the purview of DOTR, kami po ay nandito para sumuporta at tumulong sa kanila, ay ang Clark International Airport. Nakikita nyo po ang design dyan. Yung mga picture ko kanina, ano yun, no? Those are conceptual photos, no? However, this is already part of the master plan that was designed through a French grant nung nakaraang administrasyon. It was designed through a grant by the French government through Aéroports de Paris. Pumirma din po ng MOU dito. Yung media, nung panahon na yun, hindi binanatan, pero MOU din ito. No? Nakita nyo, napakaganda. No, napakaganda, napaka-modern. And it will be, I think, the first world-class airport in the country. No? And the goal here is to have this constructed. Tapos na to by the middle of the president's term, by end of 2019. Hindi na drawing yan. At gagamitin na ng taong bayan yan. Gusto ko lang mag-dwell ng konti dito sa Clark International Airport at kung paano nito masusolusyonan at maiibsan ang problema natin ng traffic sa Metro Manila. Bibigyan ko kayo ng konting datos. Ano? Sa Central Luzon at sa Northern Luzon, 8 milyong tao nung nakaraang taon ang bumiyahe, ang lumipad para bumiyahe either domestic or international. 8 million. Ilan sa tingin nyo ang bumiyahe through Clark? 10%. 800,000. Lang. Bakit? Dahil hindi pa siya fully developed at kulang ng flights. Pero nandun na sila, napakalapit na nila sa Clark. Mga taga Pampanga, taga Bulacan, taga Pangasinan, taga La Union. Pero anong ginawa nung 7.2 million na hindi bumiyahe sa Clark? Pumunta ng NAIA. Dumaan ng EDSA. I-translate natin yung sa kotse. Conservative na lang, 2:1. 3.5 million vehicles na dumaan sa EDSA last year para lang pumunta ng NAIA. Pero kung na-develop itong Clark sana nung nakaraang mga administrasyon, no? Nakakalungkot lang na hindi ito nagawa. Ano? Matagal ng plano to eh. No, matagal ng plano. I think itong planong to natapos nung mga 2012 o 2013. Correct me if I'm wrong, Secretary Art, dahil siya ang CDC president noon. Sana 3.5 million less vehicles will be going through EDSA, going to NAIA right now. Diba? Doon yung makikita ang importance nitong build, nitong mga proyektong tulad ng Clark International Airport. Napakaganda, pero hindi lang yon. Napakalaki ng maidudulot na benepisyo sa mga tao. Hindi lamang doon sa mga area kung saan malapit sa Clark, kundi pati sa Metro Manila dahil maiibsan ang traffic. So, kailangan talaga gagawin na natin to. And kami, nag-pact kami ni Secretary Tugade na kailangan matapos to by the midway of the President's term, which is end of 2019. Okay. Ang susunod ay ang Clark Green City. No? Ito, matagal ng proyekto to. And, saludo kami sa Administrasyong Aquino. Dahil napakaganda nitong planong ito. At dahil napakaganda nitong planong to, plano ito, brainchild ito ni former BCDA President Arnel Casanova. Napakaganda ng plano. Dahil napakaganda ng planong to, hindi lang namin itutuloy. Papabilisin namin ang implementation at ang construction nito. Bakit? Dahil napaka-importante nito. Dahil kita naman natin lahat, hindi ba? Ang Metro Manila talagang congested na. It is one of the densest cities in the world. same level, I think, as Hong Kong or probably even more than New York. No, talagang para na tayong sardinas dito sa Metro Manila. Siksika na tayo dito. At wala nang room to expand. Wala nang lupa kulang na ang lupa. So ano ang solusyon? Ano ang long-term solution sa traffic tsaka sa congestion? Kailangan tayong gumawa ng mga iba't ibang mga syudad, mga bagong syudad na lilipatan ng mga kababayan natin. Ngayon kasi dahil lahat ng development sa Metro Manila, lahat ng trabaho nasa Metro Manila, ang mga tao hindi lamang nagpipilit na manatili sa Metro Manila. Yung mga tao sa labas, pinipilit nilang pumasok sa Metro Manila. Pero kung meron tayong plano para magtayo ng mga bagong syudad tulad ng Clark Green City na napakalapit naman sa Metro Manila, lalo na kung matutuloy na ang plano natin for the Clark Manila Railway, hindi na kailangan magsiksikan tayo dito. Ako, to tell you honestly, magawa to, lilipat ako dyan. In fact, si Sec Art, nagsabi na siya, ang DOTR soon, ililipat na niya sa Clark. Kasi talagang yun ang solusyon This is what they did in Malaysia. If you're familiar with Putrajaya, this is what they did. In fact, ang mas matapang pa yung ginawa nila. In one fell swoop, they moved the entire government from Kuala Lumpur to Putrajaya. In a matter of what? 3-5 years? Ginawa nila yon. Hindi ko naman natin sinasabi na gagawin natin yon. No? But we have to start. And Clark Green City is the solution to that. And we will fast track this project. So, Clark Green City, no? Yan ang solusyon natin long term para sa congestion sa Metro Manila. At makakapagbigay pa ng napakaraming trabaho at opportunities sa Central Luzon. Next. Ito, sikat na sikat to. Ngayon, unahan ko na kayo. Ito yung controversial na sinasabi niyong MOU. Diba? Pero, hindi na ako magdedwell doon kasi nasagot na yun. Nasagot na yun ng iba't ibang ahensya ng gobyerno. Ang magdedwell ako ngayon, yung benepisyong maibibigay nito. Can you imagine, kung maumpisahan natin to, by the way, we're doing this with DOTR. Why are we doing this? Baka nagtataka kayo, bakit nakikialam ang BCDA dito? Baka mang-intriga na naman kayo. Ginagawa to ng BCDA, sorry ginagawa to ng BCDA kasi ang Fort Bonifacio at ang NAIA 3, yung dadaan ng properties dyan ay BCDA property. Yung Bonifacio Global City, yung Loton Avenue, hanggang NAIA 3. Ang NAIA 3, BCDA property din yan Kaya namin ginagawa to para wala nang problema sa right of way. Kasi sa kahit na anong infrastructure project, ang pinakamalaking balakid, ang pinakamalaking problema lagi ay right of way. Dito, wala na tayong right of way problems. Pwede nating itong gawin agad-agad. Kaya ako, nag-usap kami ni Sec Art, sinabi ko, boss, tulungan ka na namin dyan. Kasi, unlike other governments, kami, nagtutulungan kami. Diba? Hindi kami nag-iinggitan, hindi kami nag-uusap kami. Sabi ko, gawin na natin to, boss, kasi pwede nating simulan to ngayon. Kaya nga, nung nag-offer ang Chinese government, sige, gawa kami ng feasibility study para dyan. By the way, a feasibility study, correct me if I'm wrong, costs anywhere between $1 to $2 million. Okay? So, kung meron ng mamagandang loob na bansa na magsabi, sige, kami gagawa ng feasibility study. Kami gagastos, walang gastos ng gobyerno. Siguro naman, medyo mahina na kukote natin kung di natin tatanggapin yon, hindi ba? But, the benefit of this to people is extremely important. 15 minutes guaranteed from Fort Bonifacio to NAIA. How long does it take to go to NAIA now from Fort? Swerte ka na kung maka 1 hour ka. Swerte ka na kung maka 30 minutes ka. 15 minutes. May timetable yan. Yung mga nakikita nyo mga stasyon na yan, parang sa abroad. May timetable. Bus number 101, arriving here at 10:10. Darating sa NAIA, 10:25. Hindi ba natin gusto yun para sa mga kababayan natin? So, anyway, sana lang ang hinihingi lang natin. Konting pag-iintindi, konting pasensya, at konting suporta para sa mga proyektong ganito. Finally, yung sinabi ni Sec Art na Subic-Clark Cargo Railway Project, ito, and pasensya na Sec Art, medyo itataas ko lang siya ng konti dito. Nung CDC President si Sec Art, 3 years ago, sinasabi na niya to. Ang problema, walang nakikinig sa kanya. Walang nakikinig sa kanya from the last administration. He was talking about this 3 years ago. Napaka-importante nitong project na to. Because not only will it connect Subic Seaport to the Clark Airport, thereby making it easier to move goods. Alam niyo, ang effect na malaki nito, yung mga truck. Sino dito ang napapadaan ng Ross Boulevard sa may pier area? Si Secretary Mark, doon nag-opisina. Alam niya yung problemang yan. Yung mga truck sa kalye. Kasi congested na Metro Manila eh. So how do we develop other ports so that these trucks don't have to ply the roads of Metro Manila? We connect seaports such as Subic to an airport. Para yung mga, nakita nyo yan, yung mga container van na yan, hindi na sa kalye dadaan, nandiyan na sa Riles. Di ba? And thereby reducing cost of moving goods and reducing prices and benefiting millions of people not only in this area but throughout the entire country. Di ba? Napakagaganda nito mga proyektong to. So sana suportahan natin. So we now move, I think, to, and I think Sec Art wants to talk about this, yung timeline natin. Napaka-importante nito. Kailangan maintindihan natin at maintindihan ng publiko na ang mga infrastructure projects na ganito, hindi lang to sumusulpot na parang kabute. This takes time, this takes a lot of study, and there is a very rigorous process to this, which Secretary Art, I think, wants to explain.
Ito will be operating on the basis of timeline. Madali hong magsabing ito gagawin namin, ito proyekto namin. Pero gumawa ho kami ng timeline magbuhat sa feasibility study hanggang actual operations, actual opening. Ang timeline ho na yan, ang sinabi ko kanina, ang gusto namin mangyari, matapos yung mga proyektong sinimulan ngayon sa termino ng ating Pangulong Duterte. In other words, we are talking basically of a timeline of now remaining 5 years. Kung gagampanan ho natin yung sinasabi ni Secretary Pernia at gagawin naman yan yung 24 hours work time, 7 days work time, fund availability, systems orientation. Lahat ho ito, maliban siguro sa Mindanao Express kasi kanyan 2,000 kilometers yan eh. Pero yung 200 kilometers, matatapos natin yan sa termino ng presidente. So, ito ho, importanteng guidance ito. And then you will have to measure our performance on the basis of these timelines.
So yan, no? At ako, ang dadagdag ko na lang doon, napapansin nyo dito, no? And I think, no, these are typical indicative timelines based on our current rules. Pero ang objective talaga ng Duterte administration, and sinabi nga ni Sec Ernie kanina, kailangan nating pabilisin to eh. 'Di ba? Kailangan nating pabilisin kasi the hardships of our people every day cannot wait. Hindi na pwedeng maghintay 'yon eh. Yung tayong lahat dinadaanan natin yung hirap na yan araw-araw. So kailangan talagang pabilisin natin. And ako na ang magsasabi nito para kay Sec Art. Kaya kailangan ng emergency powers. Yan ang rason. Kasi kung walang emergency powers, nakatali tayo sa mga rekisitos at sa mga proseso na matatagal at mahahaba. Ngayon, hindi naman sinasabi ni Sec Art tsaka nila Sec Mark na i-shortcut natin yan at dahil dyan, ayan na, magkakaroon na naman ng mga corruption o kung ano-anong mga magic dyan. Hindi. Kasi unang-una, transparent naman and we're going to be talking about launching a freedom of information portal before we end. But this is premised on what the President keeps on saying, na yung hirap ng tao, hindi pwedeng maghintay. And that is why we need emergency powers. No, that is why Sec Art, Sec Mark, Sec Ernie need emergency powers. Because we need to be able to fast-track these projects and try to make these projects a reality soon. Diba? At the soonest possible time. Sec Mark, baka.
So, tama po yung sinabi ni Vince at kailangan natin ng inyong tulong para maging reality ang mga projects. But like I said, yung pinakita natin hindi lang these aren't just a wish list. Karamihan ng mga projects dyan ay meron na pong malinaw na. And some of the projects that I said will start as early as next year. So we can expect that there will be changes in the near future, and in the long term, magkakaroon din po tayo ng maraming projects that 5% is a minimum. In fact, if I'm sure Secretary Pernia, when we spoke before, ang gusto sana ng gobyerno maabot ng 7% ang spending natin sa infrastructure. So I believe we will very soon feel the effects of these infrastructure projects, and rest assured that all the government agencies are working hard and are working together. Makikita nyo naman po na sa amin, palagi kami nakikita po ng ating secretary at palagi namin pinag-uusapan kung ano po yung mga proyektos at kung ano pwede natin gawin para mapabilis ang ating mga proyekto. So, I just like to reassure all the Filipino people that we are following the President's directive to work 24/7 to finish these infrastructure projects so that you can feel the presence of and feel relief from all the problems that we're having today. And we'll feel relief at the soonest possible time.
Just a footnote, ang change na mangyayari muna would be some inconvenience, some passion. But then it's usually passion before resurrection. Meaning that before the country can really rise up and be a world-class country and world-class city, Metro Manila and other cities here, there'll be some inconvenience because when there's construction going on, road widening project for example, or a railway project, talagang mababahala yung mga tao na mag-commute. So talagang kailangan counting sacrifice. And dapat mapaintindi yun ninyo sa pangpahayag ninyo sa media na gano'n. At saka, importante talaga yung emergency powers. I don't know why the Senate is taking its sweet time to pass that emergency powers. No, we all want progress, and some other bodies of the government or the country are not cooperating, and so that's a problem. Thank you.
Sabi ho ng Pangulo, I promise you a clean government. I promise you a government that will not be corrupt, because I will not tolerate corruption. This statement has moved all of us in relation to this project to open up Freedom of Information portal. In other words, lahat ho ng proyekto makikita nyo dyan sa Freedom of Information portal. The status, the contract, the contractor, lahat ng detalye niyan, the state nandoon ho yan. Bakit ho? Sabi ho ng Pangulo, let's have a clean government. And one of the foundation of having a clean government is to be very transparent. And one of the gateways for us to be transparent is to open up a Freedom of Information portal.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Secretary.
Just to add to that, and I think transparency is critical to all of this. We want to do things very fast, and we want to implement these huge projects immediately, but we want to make all these projects and this entire process very transparent so that the public and the media can make the government officials such as ourselves accountable. Now that's the entire, and if I may just say this, really I congratulate the Secretary Andanar, Executive Secretary Medialdea, because in less than a month into the Duterte administration, they passed a Freedom of Information Executive Order number 2, if I'm not mistaken. In the past administrations, they all talk about transparency, tuwid na daan, and anti-corruption, but it is only the Duterte administration that acted quickly to make sure that all the information that the public needs and the media needs to make all government transactions transparent is there. And this is what this portal is for. It is in development right now, and it will be launched, I think, within the year. No, but you can, and we can move to the next slide just quickly, it will monitor everything, all the projects. It will tell you how much has been invested. It will tell you whether these funds are public or private funds. It will tell you how many jobs have already been generated by these projects. But more importantly, the next slide, it will also give you a indication of what the status of the project is. Para kunyari, pag meron tutulog-tulog sa mga opisyalis ng gobyerno, makikita nyo, bakit 3 taon na, 25% pa rin yung project na yan. Kakatukin nyo ngayon si Secretary so-and-so o si head ng agency so-and-so. Also, at the same time, you can click into it, and we can click here. Yun, nag-click siya sa isang project, makikita nyo lahat ng dokumento. Yan, yung mga MOU. Yung mga MOU, mababasa nyo na dyan, para maging accurate yung reporting, mababasa nyo na dyan, at at makikita nyo na kung ano ba talaga yung mga pinirmahan na MOU. So we are very open and very transparent, and we are just asking the media and the citizenry to to use this. Everyone can use this. It will be online and free for everybody to use. So with that, I think we can
Thank you, Sir
we can
Dizon.
open it up for questions.
Okay, Malacanang Press Corp question, Celerida del Mundo, Manila Shimbun. To be followed by Raymond Tinasa and Deo de Guzman.
Good afternoon po. I believe all of these projects are part of the PDP of the Duterte administration, right? And how many projects are we talking about, and how much yung cost overall? Other questions will be.
Each project has different cost estimate. So, for example, the biggest so far that has gone through the ICC, Investment Coordinating Committee, would be the North-South Railway Project. Sa Bicol, the one that goes to Bicol, all the way to Bicol. That I think would be the biggest so far. Yeah.
Pero overall, sir, meron ba kayong estimate kung magkano yung total?
Hindi pa, kasi hindi pa naman na estudyuhan at saka na-pass yung mga projects na lahat na projects Yung dumaan na ngayon sa ICC Technical Board, ICC Cabinet level, and then the NEDA Board, about 16 projects lang. Well, actually 9 lang na pumasa na sa NEDA Board, 7 more will be submitted to the NEDA Board tonight, or if not before the end of the year.
Sir,
So
ito-
by the end of the year, we will have 16 projects ready for implementation.
Pero at least itong 7 new projects na how much po yung total cost
Aha.
estimate po?
I think it's in the order of mga 150 to 200 billion.
You have mentioned na yung sa rail ay 200 billion na kagad.
Oh, malaki din talaga That's
So-
about, according to Ben Jokno, mga 600 kilometers daw yun From Manila to Bicol.
Sir, these projects would be funded under ODA, PPP ba to, or GAA lahat?
It will be a variety of funding sources. You cannot just fund all these projects from ODA. They would not be able to accommodate all these projects.
But bulk of the funding would come from where? ODA or PPP?
Well, it's hard to say at this point. PPP, there will be a number of PPP projects. For example, the operation and maintenance of airports will be mostly PPP projects, but funded.
But the construction,
For the DPW,
Yeah.
there's been a shift over the past few years. Dati kasi, because of the fiscal situation of the government, mostly in the past, we relied on ODA, but there's been a shift. So ngayon po, almost we're looking at more than 80% of our projects are funded by internally. Now there's always a portion maybe that we rely on ODA just because also because we need the expertise, lalo na po sa mga bridge projects. Minsan kailangan din natin ng foreign expertise para gumawa ng detailed engineering feasibility because they have more experience constructing major complicated projects. But to answer your question po, it's like kagaya ng sinabi po ni more or less, it's a mix also. We have PP projects that are currently ongoing, such as yung binanggit ko po kanina, yung NLEX SX Connector Road, some are under the TRB, toll regulatory, such as the Skyway extension. Marami din pong mga PPP projects that are coming online, and the values range also. But in general, like next year's budget, a majority will be funded by the government, but there is also a portion, maybe less than 20% now, that will be ODA funded.
Okay, thank you, Salarina. May I remind MPC, may cabinet meeting ng 2 o'clock. So, accommodate 3 questions. Raymond Tinasa, make it brief but sweet.
Kay Secretary Tugade, sir. Gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. Sir, siguro yung maganda yung long-term projects, pero siguro yung immediate is yung short term. Kasi ano yung update doon, if any, yung inventory natin doon sa mga Kulurum bus, flying EDSA and other main thoroughfares. At saka yung parang nagkaroon kasi ng parang nigas ko eh. To be frank, yung anti-illegal parking, dati medyo okay na. Tapos ngayon parang medyo natigil. So ngayon, barado na naman yung mga alternate routes.
Liwanagin ho natin yung salitang ningas kugon. Kasi yung ningas kugon, magandang pakinggan. Pero pag hinimay mo yan, iba ang patakbo. Una, ibig ko sabihin ng ningas kugon is, gumawa ka, tapos itinigil mo. Yung ginagawa ho natin sa Kolorum, tuloy-tuloy ho yan everyday. In fact, as of November 2, ang natiket ho namin lahat ng violations, including Kolorum, is mga 177. Hindi ho ningas ko ganyan. At sasabihin ko rin ho, kung susuma total mo, yung mga natiket in the 94 days that we have been, ang total ho na natiket dyan, kasama na yung Kolorum, illegal parking, demolition of sidewalk vendors, 178,000. Okay? Ganto karami yan. Bakit ho napakarami? Talagang malaki ho yung problema eh. Hindi ho naman pwedeng sabihin, yung Kolorum issue, tatapusin ko yan in 100 days. Hanggang meron hong mga gustong mga equipment na magkokolorum, gagawa ng paraan yan. Tumbukin ho natin yung sustansya ng inyong sinasabing Kolorum. Isa hong pamaraan kung saan maa-address yung Kolorum is, bakit dumadami yung Kolorum? Kasi ho, pinag-aral namin may moratorium ng prangkisa. Because of the moratorium on the franchises, humahanap ng pamaraan yung iba para magnegosyo. Sasabihin ko sa inyo, before the end of November, the omnibus franchising policy will come out. Hinihimay na lang ho namin ngayon yan. Yung mga detalye para datos, inihimay namin yan bago ilahad sa publiko.
Thank you.
Brief lang siguro, yung ano lang sir, update dun sa Senado, yung meron kasing parang hinihingi yata ni Senador Grace po on actual plan on how the implementation.
Very good question. In fact, I appreciate you for asking that because it gives me the opportunity to reply and answer within my league. Number one, kung kompleto yung submission is a matter of judgment. Sa amin hong pagkakalam, nakasumiti na kami. In fact, mahigit 60 pages yata yung detalye. Sa pananaw ng iba, kulang, kailangan pa ng mga datos. Dinadasal-dasal ko na lang, sa Technical Working Committee discussions, magkatugma yung pananaw namin na nakasumiti na kami, saka yung pananaw naman ng iba na wala o kulang. Dapat ma-address ho yan sa Technical Working Committee. Ako naniniwala pa rin na sa kooperasyon sa pag-intindi at understanding ng ating mga mambabatas at makikita nila yung kaliwanagan sa hinihingi naming emergency power, hindi ho para kay Tugade o kay Pernia, para sa presidente.
Okay, thank you,
Appreciate
sir. Sorry, MPC, we can only accommodate 2 more questions, ni Deo de Guzman and Sandra Aguinaldo.
Yes, sir. Magandang hapon po. Just to follow up on Ms. Celerina's question, for the next year po, magkano po yung proposed budget ng administration for infrastructure spending po?
Yeah.
2017.
For next year.
For
800
800 for
800
yes, total
billion, 800 billion total.
DOTR and all the infrastructure.
All infrastructure.
All.
Biggest in history.
And over the 6-year term, the estimate is about 8 trillion ang magasto on all these
Biggest in
projects.
history.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So that's to start the different projects po, starting next year until the end of the administration. And then the follow-up din po doon ay sinabi niyo po kanina, you have expressed the need for the emergency power. So sinasabi niyo po, without the emergency powers, hindi matatapos ang projects within the Duterte administration, or will it just expedite the project?
Kailangan ho natin yung emergency power para ma-expedite. Okay? Gagawin pa rin ho namin yung, kung hindi bibigay, di gagawin namin yung ginakala namin dapat gawin. Pero magkakaroon ho ng antala. Ng antala. Is the population willing to wait some more? Ang hinihingi lang ho naman namin is a window of 2 years. Hindi naman ho namin hinihingi ang emergency power for the next 5 years. 2 years. Tapos ho, meron hong, papaalala ko na lang, kaakibat sa batas na aming sinumite. Meron hong 2 pamaraan yan. In fact, dinagdagan ko ng pangatlo. Kung saan mache-check nyo yung ehersisyo ng emergency power, the exercise of emergency power. Ano-ano ho yun? Doon sa sinumiti naming batas, meron tinatawag na Oversight Committee. Ang Oversight Committee composed of members of Congress na kung saan pwede nilang repasuhin, tignan at gabayan ang mga proyekto before, during, and after. Oversight Committee. Pangalawa, kung may problema talaga yung pag-exercise ng emergency power, pwede ka naman pumunta sa Korte Suprema. Sinasabi lang namin, wag kung saan-saan ka kukuha na injunction dun sa Korte Suprema. Kasi ang experience natin itong nakaraan, yung injunction ho, mamera. Talagang mamera. Yung common station nga tumagal dahil sa injunction. Yung mga tipong ganyan. Hindi ho ba namin gagawin ang aming trabaho kung walang emergency power? Gagawin ho namin. Pero yung mga proyektong aming gustong bigyan buhay, baka maantala. Pangatlo ho, sinabi ko sa Senado, we will be FOI compliant. We shall be transparent and we shall be accountable. Given those three yardstick, pakibigay na sa amin. Kasi madami tayong gagawin eh. Hindi ho para sa atin yan, para sa pangkalahatan. Para sa pangkalahatan.
So sir, will you have 2 different timeline for 2 different scenarios, with emergency powers and without emergency powers?
Alam mo, ina-assume ko, naniniwala pa rin ako na mabibigay, naniniwala pa rin ako sa pakikiisa ng Kongreso. Okay? Yun pa rin ang aking paniniwala. Habang wala ito, sinasabi nila hindi kami kumikilos, hindi naman ho yata totoo yan. Kumikilos pa rin ho kami. Kaya lang, siguro ang kamali namin, hindi namin binabandurya o hindi namin pinupubliko kung ano yung mga pinaggagawa namin.
Okay, thank you.
If I can just add to that, no. Bottom line, no, let's keep things simple. Pinakita namin sa inyo lahat ng proyekto. Pinakita natin ang timeline, yung normal course of the process, di ba? What we have to understand here is because of the lack of infrastructure investment in the past, this administration has to now play catch-up, gaya ng sinabi ni Secretary Ernie. And in order to play catch-up, kailangan nating pabilisin ang mga proyekto. Kaya nga sabi nga ni Sec Art, hindi naman hinihingi yung emergency powers ng buong termino ni Presidente. 2 taon lang Kasi nga, kailangan nating humabol. Ngayon, kung inibibigay, ang epekto nun, simple lang. Matagal maghihintay ang ating mga kababayan. Matagal silang maghihirap. Ngayon, ang sabi ni President Duterte, ako ayoko yan. Kasi dyan ako galit na naghihirap ang tao araw-araw at ang gobyerno walang magawa. Ngayon, ang ino-offer namin, ito ang solusyon, ito ang mga proyekto, ito ang magbibigay solusyon sa mga problema ng mga tao. Pero para pabilisin natin to, kailangan natin ng emergency powers. It's that simple. Let's not complicate it anymore. Now, if we don't get emergency powers then walang choice, no? Because the ball is in Congress's court. No? So, ang sinasabi lang ni Secretary Art, ni Sec Mark, ni Sec Ernie, kailangan namin yan para masolusyon natin ang mga problema ngayon ng mabilis. Ganun nga kasimple yan.
Thank you, Sir. Sir Dizon. Sandra Aguinaldo, last question. Sorry, MPC. May 2 o'clock cabinet meeting. Sandra?
Ayan. Ano po sa mga projects na ito yung gagawin ng Chinese companies? Considering that while in China, we witnessed the signing of some MOUs, no? And also, sir, there has been question tungkol po doon sa background ng certain Chinese companies that will be doing projects with the government. The one that was blacklisted by World Bank and also the one that has involvement in the artificial islands in the South China Sea.
Ipaliwanag ko lang ho yung proseso. Okay? Yung proseso ho ngayon is feasibility study. Ibig sabihin ng feasibility study, gagawa ho ng plano, technical description, engineering designs, blah, blah, blah. Yung paggawa ng feasibility study po ay hino-host o ini-sponsor ng isang bansa, China. Sagot ho nila yung paggawa ng feasibility study. Sila ho ang mamimili kung sino gagawa ng feasibility study upon our conformity. In other words, yung pangalan manggagaling sa kanila. Ang tanong nyo ho, how many of this project will be awarded to China? We don't know. Kasi, una, feasibility study ka pa lang, magkakaroon ka ng financial interaction arrangement, then gagawa ka ng design. Pag nakagawa ka ng design, ma'am, ibibid mo ho yan. Ngayon, kung sumali yung may mga problema, baka pwede namin ilagay ho sa kondisyon ng terms of preference, bawal yung mga problema. Pangalawa ho, huwag natin kakalimutan na sinasabi lagi ng ating Pangulo, ayaw ko ng korupsyon, ayaw ko ng kurap. Sa tingin mo, sa pananalita ng Presidente, papayag kami apat dito at ng kabinete na alawin yung mga corrupt to participate. So, I hope I put it in proper perspective. Ang proseso ho, nag-uumpisa pa lang. Step 1. Wala pa hong award na sa feasibility study. Ang pag-uusapan ho is ano yung mga datos na dapat tumbukin dun sa feasibility study. Kailangan matapos lahat yan. Kasi ang habol ho natin, yung termino ng Presidente. Kaya mamadalin ho yung feasibility study. I hope
No, let me add, we are putting up safeguards na hindi maulit yung NBN-ZTE debacle at saka yung North Rail. Ang ginagawa namin ay yung ICC cabinet level will be the clearinghouse for the screening of applicant Chinese companies or Chinese companies interested in projects. And on the side of of China, they have also agreed to set up a mechanism whereby they will screen and then accredit reputable Chinese companies that will be qualified to deal with us, to to participate in investment projects. So dalawang filter, yung sa Chinese side at saka yung dito sa Pilipinas. So kailangan lang ng EO, which is very easy to do, to make the ICC cabinet level the screening this defense that will screen interested Chinese companies.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Malacanang Press Corps. Thank you, Secretary Mark Villar. Thank you, Secretary Ernesto Pernia. Thank you, Secretary Arthur Tugade. And thank you, Sir Vince Dizon. Back to our main studio sa Radyo ng Bayan at PTB 4.